In this video, we're going to look at the hidden features of the Bluguitar Amp1. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Dr. McFarland, and we're going to look at some cool behind the scenes features of the Amp1 that you probably didn't even know about. And there's some special pages on the bluguitar.com website where it goes into detail about all these different features. So we're mainly going to be looking at the half power, the low power, and preset mode in today's video. So let's go ahead and dive right in. Now, with some units, you'll actually have the ability to, while you're powering on the unit, you can hold down a switch and it does something specific. If you hold down the first switch, that's going to be half power mode. So this is a 100-watt amplifier. Now if we had the master all the way to 10, that's where it would be 100 watts. So that means if we have it in the 3 range or so, it's probably around 10, 20 watts. We get closer to like that 50 to 70 watt range around 5 or 6, and then all the way up would be 100 watts. But if we have it in half power mode, with some other amplifiers, you can knock it down. If it's a 30 watt amp, you can knock it down to 15. You could take away 2 of the tubes and it maybe knocks it down to 7.5 or whatever you want. So we're not really attenuating the amplifier, we're just knocking down the power. So in half power mode, we're actually going to have it in a 60 watt range. So with a master of 10, it'd actually be 60 watts instead of 100 watts. So how we do that is we simply turn off the unit and we're going to hold down the channel switch here while powering it on. And then just kind of give it a second and then we'll let go. And now we should be in half power mode. So here's the volume at 3. All right, if we start cranking it up even more, it's going to get really loud in the room and my camera is going to overload as well. So let's do this a little bit. Let me turn up the master a little bit and let me turn down the volume on the camera. So I have it pretty loud in the room right now and with the master on 6. And let's go ahead and kick it over to the vintage channel and see what that sounds like. All right. Here's the classic mode, and we do have the noise gate on the side, so when I'm not playing, it stays nice and quiet. And here's the modern. All right, so that is pretty loud in the room, and I'm going to dial the master back down to 3 or 4. Let's keep it around 4. All right, now, another thing we can do is put it in low power mode, and that's going to give the response like you were to plug into a low input channel on maybe a Marshall amp or any other amp that has like a high input and a low input. So how you do that is we're going to turn off the unit. We're going to hold the middle switch, which is the boost switch, and then power it back on. All right, and then we just let go. And now we should have a slightly lower volume than we did before. And we do. So that allows me to turn up the master a little bit more than we normally would. So we've combined the half power and the low power together. So we actually get a little bit more headroom on especially on the clean channel. We can probably turn up the clean channel all the way up to 10 now. See what that does. right, let's go to the middle position on the guitar. All right, let's go to the vintage channel, back on the bridge pickup. And I actually kind of like that. It sounds good. Let's go to the classic. Okay, this also allows us to raise the gain on the 3 dirt channels a little bit more, because we are in low power modes. We're just not accessing all the gain staging that we were before. So here's the classic mode again. So if you want some more headroom on the amplifier and be able to crank the master a little bit more, so you can get more of like a power tube distortion versus a preamp distortion, we can totally do that with the half power and low power modes. Now, the next thing that's really cool about the Amp1, you can make this as easy or as complex as you want. You can have a fully MIDI programmable rig, or if you're just a basic blues player, rock player, maybe you're just a rhythm player like a country or rock band, and you just need a few core tones to dial in without having to do a bunch of tap dancing and switching, then this is the preset mode. And I'm going to show you how we create presets, and then we'll switch it over to preset mode by turning it off and holding down a certain switch, okay? So how to create a preset is you actually hold down the reverb button. So we're actually going to do a vintage, classic, and modern. And I'm going to use my little foot switch that I showed you earlier to go back to a clean tone from any one of the 3 dirt channels that we want, okay? Now we can incorporate the boost in the preset as well, and also have the reverb on or off. I'm going to go ahead and just dial in a good reverb sound and just leave it on the whole time. All right, cool. That sounds pretty good. So now let's go ahead and kick it over to the vintage mode. Okay, like this. This is what that sounds like. And I'm going to hold down the reverb switch. And it's going to start blinking, and I'm going to just choose one of the 3 knobs here. So I'm going to hit the first one, and the reverb is going to stop blinking. So now that the vintage channel is assigned to switch 1. All right, I'm going to go ahead and choose classic, and then hold down the reverb switch, and it's going to start blinking. I'm going to press the boost button. All right. Then we're going to do the same thing with the modern. Hold down the reverb, and then I'm going to hit the reverb button, and it's going to assign the modern channel to the reverb button. All right, so now how to get in preset mode. We're simply going to turn off the unit. We're going to hold down the reverb while turning the unit back on. It's going to blink 2 or 3 times, and it's going to stop. Okay, so now check this out. I hit the first switch, it goes to vintage. I hit the boost, it goes to classic, and I go to the reverb, and it goes to the modern. All right, so you're wondering, how do I get back to a clean sound? All right, so here is my little foot switch here. All right, I'm actually going to scoot this over a little bit so I can set that right there. And this is just a 1-button foot switch. I am using it with a TRS cable. You can use just a normal guitar cable for this if you want, because it only has 1 switch, so we're really only able to access one of the functions. Either the function to change the channel from the dirt channel back to clean, or if we had a 2-button foot switch, I'd have the ability to use the ring part of the TRS and actually turn on or off the boost, which is really cool. All right, so now from the vintage, I can hit my switch. You can see it goes back to clean. So if you're just a really simple player, maybe you have a delay pedal in the effects loop and you just had this switch and a simple delay and that's it, you could probably get through a whole set and just use the presets on the amp and then go back to a clean tone whenever you wanted to. All right, really cool stuff. Or if you have the 2-button foot switch, you can engage the boost at any moment and always go back to clean, hit the boost on, go to a modern right away, whatever you want, okay? All right, so let's listen to some sounds and see what we got. And we're about to clean. So there you go. So there's a lot of tonal possibilities you can have just by having the amp at your feet, maybe having an extra foot switch or maybe a 2-button foot switch and maybe some delay or whatever you want. So don't think that you have to be overly complicated and having this huge MIDI setup and different stuff going on. You can just keep it real basic and get through a whole gig and have all the tones you need right at your feet. And the last thing that we can do is actually reset everything, which I'm not going to do right now because I kind of like how I have things set up. But let's just say, for example, if I wanted to go back into just normal mode without having presets at the feet, we can turn this off and we can hold down the reverb switch. And now you can see that we're back in normal operation where we can turn on and off the different functions, okay? Now, if you want to reset everything and get the half power back to full power and get the low input back to high input and all that normal stuff, we have to do a hard reset. And how you do that is you actually hold down all 3 buttons at the same time. And then as you power it on, you can let go. And that's going to reset everything. But I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to keep it in half power and low input, because I like how it sounds with the master up a little bit more in volume. I get more of that, that power tube stage versus the preamp crunch, which is fine. You can experiment however you want to do and kind of find your own sound. I can still use a switch right here to go in between different things, which it really doesn't matter. I can only access one of the channels at a time anyway. So, but I think having a 2-button foot switch would help expand your capabilities by allowing to insert the boost in there, which is really cool. And that's about it. So thanks guys for watching. I am Dr. McFarland. Please feel free to check out the description down below. There's a lot of cool links down there. And be sure to subscribe and click the bell so you'll be notified every time I release new content. I am Dr. McFarland. I will see you in the next video. Keep rocking.